Okay, so hello everyone. Right, and let's look at the first sentence. Yes. The sentence is, the couple posted a Christmas present to their daughter who lives in South Africa. And I have a question to you. How many clauses, let's say in other words, how many meaningful parts of sentence can you see there? So how many clauses are there in this sound? You cannot hear me. Can you hear me now? No sound. One moment. I guess there are some problems. Okay, so yes, so you can hear me now. Great. So one more time, I repeat my question. How many clauses are there in this sentence? The couple posted a Christmas present to their daughter who lives in South Africa. How many clauses? How many meaningful parts can you find there? One or two, or maybe more. So as usual, please give me your answers to the chat. Yes, two clauses, you are right. So the first clause is the couple posted a Christmas present to their daughter, and the second clause, who lives in South Africa. Okay, the next question. Where is the main clause? So what is the main clause of this sentence? Number one, that's right. And what is the subordinate, подрядный, dependent clause? What is that? So the main clause is the couple posted a Christmas present to their daughter. So where is the subordinate? The subordinate clause is surely this one, who lives in South Africa. Okay, that's right. The next question, what does this clause start with? So what is the first word in this subordinate clause? So what is the first word? The first word of a subordinate clause is who. What is who? Who remembers? What is who? What part of speech is that? What is who? How do we call it? That's right, I see Ukrainian. But anyway, we call it a relative pronoun. That's right, you gave me the right answer. That is відносний займенник. So if it starts with a relative pronoun, it means that we can call this clause a relative clause. Who lives in South Africa is a relative clause. Why we call it relative? Yes, why do we call it that way? Because this clause relates to some word in the main clause. So what do you think? To which word does this clause relate to? Which clause or which word in the main clause does this clause relate to? So we call it a relative clause because it relates to some words or to some word in the main clause. What is that? Daughter, that's right. So, and in other words, we can say that this relative clause gives us more information about this daughter, yes, about someone or something in the main clause. That's why we call it a relative clause. It relates, yes, to that, but its function is that it describes, it gives more information about someone or something in the main clause. Why we use it, yes, of course, we know what it does, so but why we use it? Actually, we can put the same sentence in two short sentences, yes? But in order not to repeat the same information again, like the same word, daughter, we can combine these two sentences in one complex sentence, yes, by using this relative pronouns with this, like in these relative clauses. Also, we can use relative clauses in some other examples. Let's look at two more sentences. Sentence B. This is the book which we are reading at the moment, and C, she is the woman who I was talking about. In this case, we also have relative clauses, yes? That is which we are reading at the moment and who I was talking about. But in these sentences, the relative clause help us to give some focus, yes, to emphasize that we are reading this book, exactly this book at the moment, and I was talking exactly about this woman, yes? So we can use relative clauses either to give extra information, more information about someone or something, or we can use them to give focus to something or someone. Surely you know that there are a lot of, I see the right words in the chat, we will go to that one. There are different relative pronouns. For example, for people, we use who and that, and for things and animals, we use which and that. For example, the designer who created this website is talented. The dog which is barking is mine. So from these two examples, you can see that relative clauses can actually be not at the end of the sentence, yes, but somewhere in the middle. So we see the main sentence, the designer is talented, and the relative clause in this example is who created this website. And in another example, the main sentence is the dog is mine, and relative clause is which is barking. So with this, let's say three relative pronouns, there is one possible thing. We sometimes can omit some. Ми можемо їх упускати, да, з речення, тобто ми можемо їх викинути з речення. And in that way, the meaning of the sentence will stay the same, will be the same. Let's look at these two sentences and let's find out in which example out of these two we can omit, тобто упустити relative pronouns. What do you think? In number one or in number two? Let me read them aloud. A. I know a man, he is a lawyer. Це було звичайні два речення, потім ми їх поєднали в одне складне речення. І вийшло I know a man who is a lawyer or I know a man that is a lawyer. Да? Тобто їх поєднали, вийшло ось таке речення. І друге речення. I spoke to a man, I had met him before. And it becomes I spoke to a man who or that or whom I had met before. So what do you think? In which of these two sentences we can omit these relative pronouns? Тобто упустити. В A чи B? Спробуйте прочитати речення без relative pronouns, без цих займенників, і подумати, яке речення звучить для вас, яке ні. Ага. That's right, all answers are correct. Surely we can omit relative pronouns in the second example. We cannot do that in the first example because in that sentence, this relative pronoun is the subject in the relative clause. In another words, there is the verb that follows this relative pronoun. В першому випадку ми не можемо цього зробити, ми не можемо опустити цей займенник, тому що він виступає підметом в цьому підрядному реченні, так? Тобто за ним одразу йде дієслово. Тобто якщо у вас за займенником йде дієслово, його упустити не можна. Але in the second example, that's vice versa, yes? It is the object, yes, in the relative clause. That's why we can omit it. In other words, you may see that relative pronoun is followed by a subject, I, and only that a verb, had. А в другому випадку бачите, що ось ці займенники виступають ніби додатком, да? І після них йде або займенник, або іменник. В даному випадку в нас є займенник I, і тільки потім дієслово. Тобто ось ці в нас присвійні займенники who, that, whom виступають додатком. І в цьому випадку ми можемо їх опустити. Да? Якщо ви прочитаєте речення вслух, без цих займенників воно буде вам звучати. For example, I spoke to a man I had met before. In the first example, that is not possible. I know a man who is a lawyer. We cannot omit who. As you may see, we can use whom instead of who when it is the. Тобто, якщо у вас займенник виступає додатком, використовувати whom. І те буде вірно. Okay, I'm really sorry for these technical issues. So I think we can continue, yes? If you can hear me again, just put me something to the chat. Let's go next. So as you may see, we also have whose, which shows possession, yes? That is when we want to show that something belongs to someone. For example, that is a student whose parents complained to the school. So we can say student's parents or whose parents. That is completely the same. Let's look at more examples. For example, let's look at sentence number 1. That is the woman, her house caught fire yesterday. So let's try to transform this sentence by using this relative pronoun whose. So we have the start, that is the woman. Let's continue it. Put me your answers to the chat. That is the woman. Then we need to put the relative pronoun. And then that will be whose house caught fire yesterday. So you can see that we can simply substitute her, yes, with whose, and it will be completely the same. Let's do a sentence number 2. That is the house, its entrance is guarded. So let's try to make this sentence, yes, but with the relative pronoun whose. That is the house whose entrance is guarded. So nothing changes, yes? We just substitute it with whose. So, but one important thing here, what do you think? Can we omit this relative pronoun or not in a sentence? Can we omit it? Упустити. Можемо його чи ні? What do you think? Can we omit it or not? Surely we cannot omit it, yes, never. It should always be in a sentence. Great, so let's look at these sentences and let's try to think in which of these sentences we can omit this relative pronouns. So let's go to sentence number 1. Yes, you can just simply write me 1 yes or 1 no. Let me read it aloud. She showed me the emeralds which she had brought back from South Africa. What do you think? Can we omit which or we cannot? No. No or yes? I see only no, no, no. Yes, we can omit. We can use this sentence because what? Because after which we have a pronoun with a verb. In this example, which is an object. Тобто в даному випадку which у нас виступає додатком, да? Після нього йде інший, там у нас в даному випадку займенник she, і далі вже дієслово. В цьому випадку ми можемо його опустити. Let's go to number 2. The smartphone that cost £200 is very good. So, can we omit it or not? No, we cannot, yes? So the smartphone that costs £200 is very good. Why we cannot omit? Because it is the subject in a relative clause and it is followed by a verb. Тобто, якщо тільки у вас після цього займенника йде дієслово, то його упустити не можна, да? Okay, let's go to number 3. My colleague with whom I'm doing the project should be here as soon as possible. Can we omit or no? No, we cannot, because if this relative pronoun is preceded with a preposition like with whom, at which, and whatever, да, тобто якщо перед ними йде at, with або будь-що, да, будь-який preposition, ми не можемо його опустити так само. Okay, let's go to number 4. This was the hotel that we stayed in for 2 weeks. What do you think about number 4? This was the hotel that we stayed in for 2 weeks. Yes, we can omit it. Why? Because it is the object, yes? Тому що після нього йде, у нас знову йде займенник we stayed, да? Тобто ми можемо запросто, бо це в даному випадку додаток. Okay, number 5. I hope you remember. That's the woman whose house has been broken into. We can never omit whose. Ні в якому випадку, да? Okay, number 6. This is the car that John bought at an auction. Number 6. This is the car that John bought at an auction. Yes, we can omit. Why? Because again, that is an object. Да? Можете навіть собі співставити. John bought that. John bought car. Тобто, да, це додаток, да, над ким виконується дія. Якщо так, то ми можемо його опустити. Okay, a doctor is a person who looks after people's health. We cannot, yes, because it is followed by a verb. And number 8, also we cannot because it is followed by a verb. That arrived. Clear. So I hope that everything is clear with these examples. Let's look at these sentences. The boat in which the oil was transferred is owned by an American company. Number 2, the safe which we keep the money in is in the basement. Це в нас підвал. And number 3, the safe we keep the money in is in the basement. What do you think? Are these sentences correct? If not, then which sentence is not correct? What do you think? По факту вони дуже схожі, так? But what do you think? Are they correct or not? If not, then which one is not correct? So 1, 2, or 3? I see the correct answers, and let me show that. The first one, the second one, and the third one, they are all correct. Why? Because actually we can do anything with these relative pronouns. We can use either preposition before it or after somewhere in the sentence, or we can simply omit that relative pronoun, but it all depends on the formality. Yes, the first example is very formal and it's not very, it's unusual structure in English. Number 2, that is something that we usually use, yes? We usually, yes, which we keep the money in. So we put the preposition after, yes? But actually, that is very usual and that is okay. But sometimes we know that we can omit, yes, this pronoun if it is the object. Але ми в той самий раз знаємо, що можемо взагалі його упустити, да, якщо після нього йде підмет. В даному випадку у нас є we keep, да, тобто можемо взагалі його упустити, і це взагалі як говорять в everyday English. So all these examples are correct, but the first one is very unusual and it is very formal. Тобто він дуже такий офіційний і дуже його ви рідко зустрінетесь. That's why I suggest that you avoid using prepositions before relative pronouns. Okay, let's go to number 2. He lent me some money. This was generous of him. So let's try to combine these two sentences in one complex one with the help of relative pronoun. Yes, number 1 is very common in Ukrainian. That's right, but it's not common in English. Okay, let's go to the second set of sentences. How can we combine them? With what relative pronoun? With which relative pronoun we can combine them? Be attentive that there is a comma. That is a hint to you. Підказка вам. There is a comma before this relative pronoun. Ми з вами сьогодні ще це не обговорили, але якщо в нас є кома, which, only which. Yes, so we can use which to refer back to the whole clause. For example, he lent me some money, which was generous of him. So in this example, which, yes, does not describe money, but it describes the full clause. He lent me some money. Да? Тобто в цьому випадку ось це relative, це підрядне речення, воно не описує тільки слово money, да? А описує ціле попереднє речення, да? Тобто саму цю дію, що він вам там позичив гроші. Yes, we cannot put that, we will talk about that today. Ми сьогодні з вами про це поговоримо, чому там не можна ставити that. Але не можна, якщо бачите кому, кома перед that ніколи в англійській мові не ставиться. Okay, let's go next. I know a girl who she works in a library and the people who we speak to them are from Italy. So where are the mistakes in these two sentences? What is wrong with these two sentences? I know a girl who she works in a library. The people who we spoke to them are from Italy. Actually, they are both not correct because remember that we cannot use another relative pronoun if we have like which or who or that, yes? So we can say, I know a girl who works in a library. So who means she. So there is no need to repeat she again. And the second example, who equals them. So we don't need to use them again. That's right. So if we have a relative pronoun, we don't use any other pronoun in this clause, yes? And the last example, there are 2 museums in the city center, both of which are worth visiting. What do you think about this sentence? Actually, that's the most difficult structure, I suppose, but anyway, both of which are worth visiting. Is it correct or not? That's actually correct, because we can say all of, both of, many of, and so on and so forth before whom for people and which for things in non-defining relative clauses. Yes, we can say so if we want to emphasize on the quantity. Тобто на кількості, якщо ми хочемо наголосити, да, можемо використати ці фрази перед словами whom для людей, або which для речей, або тварин. So let's practice a little bit. Let's look at number 1. Gap, must I speak to if I want information about the Tate Modern? So whom or whose? Gap, must I talk to if I want information? That's right. A, whom. Yes? Whom must I talk to? Або who. Ми так само можемо в першому прикладі, наприклад, сказати who, якщо б у нас був такий варіант відповіді. Okay, number 2. The attractions we are visiting on this tour, Gap, are in the central London. All charge an entrance fee. The correct answer, that is B. Many of which. Пам'ятаєте, якщо ви хочете наголосити на кількості, да, в підрядному реченні, ви ставите спочатку кількість, потім of, і потім ставите which, якщо йдеться про якісь речі, або whom, якщо йдеться про людей. Okay, number 3. The employee, Gap, I spoke, was very polite. Number 3, that is A, because we're talking about an employee, that is a person. Okay, number 4. I recently met a musician. Gap, instrumental pieces are worth listening to. Number 4. That is whose. We talk about possession, yes? So these instrumental pieces belong to that musician, yes? We can say his instrumental pieces or whose instrumental pieces. Number 5. Could you explain the reason, Gap, that I am unable to access the online ticketing servers? It might sound tricky, but anyway, explain the reason, Gap, I'm unable to access. Are we talking about people in this example or not? So remember that whom can be used like if we talk about, I see you change your mind. Yes, that. We can say the reason why, or we can substitute that with that. The reason that. Да? Ми з вами сьогодні ще про це будемо говорити. There are 2 composers working on this soundtrack. Gap are German. There are 2. There are 2. And we need a relative pronoun if we talk about relative clauses. Наприклад, them – це у нас не relative, да? Нам потрібен whom, нам потрібен relative pronoun. Both of whom are German. Окей. Пам'ятаєте, якщо ми хочемо наголосити на кількості, можемо сказати там кількість both, noun, many, much, of, і далі ми можемо сказати або whom, або which. Whom для людей, which для речей. Okay, let's go to number 7. Is Dr. James the museum guide, Gap, you spoke to? We have a person, Dr. James, that's why only who. And the last one, the backstage party, Gap, we organized went on until 3 o'clock in the morning. We're talking about the party, and we have either nothing or who. That is nothing. Yes, we can omit. Yes, we can omit which in this example or that. That we organized or which we organized went on until 3 o'clock in the morning. Great. So let's go to this most interesting part. Let's try to put commas in these sentences. What do you think? Where can we put commas and why can we put commas here? Or maybe not. Подивимось на ці два речення і поставимо коми. Як ви думаєте, чи можна і в цьому, і в A, і B поставити коми? Якщо ні, то в якому можна? So where can we put commas? In sentence A or in sentence B? What do you think? B, commas. That's right. So in sentence A, people who park illegally are fined. We cannot put commas. In sentence B, the Jeffersons, comma, who own a Jaguar, comma, live next door. Yes? So why cannot we put commas in sentence A? Because if we put commas, it means that we can take this information out of the sentence and leave the sentence this way. People are fined. Тобто, коли ви ставите коми з двох сторін ось цього підрядного речення, це означає, що ви можете його забрати з речення, і речення залишить своє значення. Да? Якщо ми заберемо ось це підрядне речення з першого речення, то у нас речення позбудеться сенсу. Да? Тобто ми ж не можемо сказати people are fined. Which people? We don't know. So the meaning of the sentence will be not clear. Yes? It will we will not see the meaning of this sentence. Ми не можемо забрати це підрядне речення з цього великого речення, правильно? But in the second example, the Jeffersons live next door, the meaning of the sentence will be clear, yes? Because the relative clause gives some extra information. Але в другому випадку ми можемо виділити це підрядне речення з двох боків комами, тому що ми можемо це забрати з речення, і сенс речення від того не зміниться. Як ми називаємо ці речення, ці підрядні речення? Maybe somebody remembers. If we cannot take it out from the sentence, if we cannot put commas there, we call them a defining clause. That is the clause that gives necessary or essential information to the meaning of the main sentence. And these relatives cannot be omitted when they are object of the relative clause and the relative clause is not put in commas. Правильно, бачу правильні відповіді. В цьому випадку, якщо ось це підрядне речення несе важливу, необхідну інформацію для розуміння сенсу усього речення, ми не можемо його забрати, ми називаємо його defining clause. In the second example, when we can take this relative clause out of the sentence, yes, we can put commas. It's called a non-defining clause, and it gives extra information, and it's not essential to the meaning of the main sentence. The relative pronoun cannot be omitted. В цьому випадку ми не можемо викинути цей відносний займенник who. І we cannot replace it by that. І ні в якому випадку в цьому реченні ми не можемо його замінити на that. And surely we put it in commas. Yes, so first example, that is a defining clause. The second example, that is a non-defining clause. Let's look at two more examples. For example, the film which that I watched yesterday was boring. So is it a defining or non-defining clause? What do you think? The film which I watched yesterday was boring. Is it defining or non-defining? Can you see any commas? No, you cannot see any commas, and you can easily take pronouns out of there, yes? So that means that is a defining clause. And number two, we want to see the new Tom Carter film, comma, which was released on Friday. That is a non-defining clause, which gives us some extra information. Yes, and surely we should put a comma there. Тобто ми ставимо кому, ніби пояснюючи, що ми можемо цю частинку забрати з речення, і сенс речення від того не зміниться. Тому ось цей вибір, коли which, коли that, в defining clauses ви можете ставити і which, і that, без різниці, якщо ви говорите про речі. А якщо це non-defining clause, і вам потрібно поставити кому, то ні в якому випадку там не можна поставити that. Тобто там буде тільки один вихід, це which, якщо ви говорите про якісь речі. Okay, so let's practice a little bit. Let's look at sentences A and B, and let's find out which one is defining and which one is non-defining, and which sentence is correct. I have highlighted the relative clauses in orange, yes, so it will be easier for you. Тобто всі ці підрядні речення виокремила іншим кольором, щоб ви його бачили. Вирішіть, чи це defining, чи це non-defining clause. Якщо це non-defining, то мають стояти коми. Якщо defining, то ком не має стояти, да? That's why. What about number 1? A or B? Which one is correct? That is A, yes, and we have commas. It means that which has a population of 8 million is non-defining clause. It's not essential to the meaning of the sentence, yes? It just gives us some extra information. Okay, let's go to number 2. My only sister who has beautiful eyes prepared the meal. Or my only sister who has beautiful eyes prepared the meal. Можна ми тут поставити кому? Це який в нас clause? Defining or non-defining? I see the correct answer, B. Why? Because we have only sister, yes? It's clear that we have only one sister, тому нам не потрібно уточнювати, да? Це просто додаткова інформація про ту сестру. Okay. Number 3, the package which Jim posted a few days ago only arrived today, or the same but without commas. So is it defining or non-defining clause? The package which Jim posted a few days ago only arrived today. That is B, yes, because if we take this relative clause out of the sentence, then we will not understand which package. Ну, якщо ми заберемо, да, це підрядне речення з речення, то ми не зрозуміємо, про який пакунок йдеться, да, мова. Okay, next one. The film which I'm watching at the moment is boring, and B, the film which I'm watching at the moment is boring. The same thing, yes? If we take this relative clause out from the sentence is like, it doesn't have any meaning, any sense. That's why it's a defining clause. What do you think in this example? Can we put that instead of which? Давайте поговоримо про це речення. Ми можемо тут замість which поставити that, чи ні? The film that I'm watching at the moment is boring. Yes, we can. Or we can omit it, yes. The film I'm watching at the moment is boring. Great, guys. Let's go to the next one. Joanna, whose father is a doctor, is coming to the wedding reception. So is it A or B? Can we omit this relative clause or not? Will it be defining or non-defining? Yes, we can omit it, yes, because the meaning of the sentence is that Joanna is coming to the wedding reception. Okay, a question. Can we substitute whose with that, or can we omit it or not? Can we omit whose in this example? No, surely we cannot, yes, and we cannot substitute it with that. І Z ми так само в цьому випадку ми не можемо. Okay, and the last one. Do you know the girl who is talking to Mary? And the same one, but without a comma. Surely that is a defining clause. Yes, it gives us essential information. Which girl? The girl who is talking to Mary. Okay, can we substitute it with that or not? А тут ми можемо поставити that чи ні? Can we put that instead of who in this example? Yes, we can. Can we omit it or not? Just, can we omit it at all? Можемо ми повністю його випустити з цього речення чи ні? Can we omit it or not? Surely we cannot, because it's a subject, да? Бо після нього у нас йде is, дієслово, да? We cannot omit it. Great, guys. So except for which, who, that, whose, whom, we have other relative clauses. We have relative clauses with where, when, and why. Yes, if we talk about where, we refer to some places. It replaces in which, at which, or to which. For example, the city where she was born is Leeds. In other words, like, по значенню це виходить the city in which she was born is Leeds. So we can use where in order to refer to places. Surely we have when to refer to time. For example, I remember the days when cinema complexes didn't exist. Yes, when, the days when. And why? We use it to refer to reasons, but only in defining relative clauses. For example, Julia explained the reason why she had chosen a career abroad. Let's try to do this task, yes? And let's try to choose the correct relative pronoun. Let's go to number 1. Pablo Picasso, gap work is now sold for large sums of money, was a fascinating artist. What relative pronoun can we put there? We know like a lot of them now. Whose? That's right. Number 2. She sang her first solo in 2012. Then we have a gap. She was just 10 years old. So we're talking about what? We're talking about 2012. We're talking about time. So if you want to refer to time, we need relative pronoun when. That's right. Number 3. We met several people at the exhibition. A few of gap were art critics. That is your favorite. Коли ми вказуємо кількість. A few of, none of, either of. І далі в нас може бути тільки два слова. Або whom, або which. В даному випадку. We met several people at the exhibition. A few of whom were art critics. Because we're talking about people. Yes, several people. Great. Number 4. The conductor wanted his first concert to be in London. Gap, his career in music had begun. So we have London. That refers to a place where his career in music had begun. Where we use in order to refer to places. Okay, all employees, gap, work full-time at the theater, can watch the play free of charge. Okay, number 5. All employees, gap, work full-time at the theater, can watch the play free of charge. Employees, people, what can we use in order to who? Can we substitute that with that or not? Yes, we can. So we can use either who or that. Great. Let's go to number 6. There are a number of reasons, gap, I have decided to keep my huge collection of jazz records. A number of reasons. If you talk about reasons, what relative pronoun you need? Why? Why I have decided to keep my huge collection. Great. And number 7, do you know the woman, gap, photographs have been selected for the exhibition? The woman, gap, photographs have been elected for the exhibition. And that is whose. Yes, her photographs or her photos, whose photos. Great, guys. But all these relative pronouns like when, where, and why can be replaced by that. Така в них є особливість, що вони можуть бути замінені на that. So let's look at first example. The street where we used to play is very busy now. The street which that we used to play in is very busy now. So actually the meaning of the sentence is the same. So we can replace, yes, where with which that plus preposition. Тобто ми можемо просто додати preposition і замість where використати which або that. I have one more question to you. Can we omit it or not? А упустити повністю ми можемо це чи ні? Чи можемо ми сказати the street we used to play in is very busy now? Yes, we can omit. Тобто, якщо ви заміняєте where на which that, ви можете його упустити, да? Не забудьте тільки про цей preposition in. Це головне. Окей, B. I'll never forget the day when I first met him. I'll never forget the day that I first met him. So we can actually do the same with the relative pronoun when. We can replace it by that. Чому ми так часто чуємо that? Да? Постійно that в усній та в розмовній англійській у нас постійно that, тому що його заміняють на всі інші, можна сказати, ці відносні займенники. Again, we can omit it. А якщо це that, і це в нас defining clause, ми можемо взагалі його опустити. Да? I'll never forget the day I first met him. Да, воно звучить дивно, тому що найчастіше його просто упускають. Да? Тобто I'll never forget the day I first met him is more common than I'll never forget the day that I first met him. So we usually just omit. Ми просто їх упускаємо. Okay, and number C, the reason why I can't meet you tonight is that I'm working overtime. And the same way we can do with why, we can substitute that with that. The reason that I can't meet you tonight is that I'm working overtime. But again, it sounds like maybe strange, maybe overloaded. That's why we can omit. The reason I can't meet you tonight is that I'm working overtime. So we can actually substitute all these relative pronouns by that. Okay, so let's do this little task. Let's try to match the sentences with their endings. Remember that you have this kind of task in the reading section. That is the last task of the reading section, where you need to find the correct ending for the sentence or the correct clause which is missed in the sentence. So let's look at number 1. My grandmother lived in London in the 1960s, and then gap. First one is B, when it was one of the most popular cities in the world. Great. Number 2, Garden Primary School gap has just been closed down. Number 2, Garden Primary School gap has just been closed down. That's right, that is E, where I went when I was 6. Yes, school refers to a place. We know that if we refer to a place, we can use where. By the way, can we put that here or not? А that, ми знаємо, що ми можемо замінити when, where і why на слово that. В цьому випадку ми можемо його замінити чи ні? What do you think? Number 2. Can we replace where with that? Number 2. Where I went when I was 6. Can we say that I went when I was 6? No, we cannot, because it is non-defining. It has commas. Бо в нас стоять коми, да? Ми не можемо використати that. Це не несе ніякої інформації. Це не defining clause. Okay, number 3. One aspect of grammar, and I see the correct answer is F, that I find really difficult is relative clauses. What else can we use instead of that in this example? Що замість that в третьому можемо поставити після grammar? We say that I find really difficult, or any guesses? Which? That's right. Let's go to number 4. Have you still got the book? And I see the correct answer, C. I lent you last term. So what do you think? What relative pronoun is omitted here? Тут просто упустили, да? В четвертому тут просто його не зазначили, цей relative pronoun, але для себе ви можете його проговорити з relative pronoun. What relative pronoun is omitted in this example? You have still got the book. I lent you last term. Which or that? That's right. Number 5. I can't decide whether to invite Paul to the party, gap or not. I can't decide whether to invite Paul to the party, gap or not. That's D. We're having on Friday. Okay, again, yes, you see that a relative pronoun is omitted in this example. Його просто тут упустили, and that also might be which or that. Okay, and number 6, one thing gap is washing up. That I can't stand is washing up. Okay, and can we put which in this example or not? Can we use which instead of that in this example? Yes, we can, but we cannot put commas anyway, да? Але в ніякому випадку все одно, навіть якщо ми поставимо which, кома ми не можемо додати, because that is a defining clause. Okay, guys, so let's go to the listening part. One moment. So today we will practice with you listening task 3. These are questions 12, 16, and these are multiple choice tasks. Remember that you will listen to a long recording. Maybe some of you, maybe you have taken the mock ZNO exam last Saturday. Maybe you did that last Saturday or not. So you remember that there will be quite a long text. Yes, it might be an interview or a story. And your task will be to listen to this recording and to find the correct answer to the questions. There are overall 5 questions. Yes, and you will surely listen to the recording twice. So what strategies we may use? Of course, we need to read the questions, yes, and we need to find these keywords in those questions, yes, to listen to some specific information in the recording. Сподіваюсь, ви пам'ятаєте, вам дають час, щоб ви прочитали питання. Їх всього 5, але важко те, що до кожного йде 3 варіанти відповіді, зазвичай це довге речення. Ага, I see, я бачу, що хтось з вас здавав це пробне ЗНО. Да, сподіваюсь, ви бачили розбір пробного ЗНО. Да? Там були питання і були доволі довгі відповіді, да, на ці питання. Ну, не доволі довгі, але не такі, як в першому запитанні. Тобто це було набагато важче. Да? Потрібно було слухати уважно на ось ці keywords, які є в цьому аудіо, і звертати на ці paraphrases, да? Тобто це та сама ідея, але іншими словами. And surely I hope you managed to listen to it for the first time and did the task, yes? And you managed to do that task, and when you were listening for the second time, I hope you managed to check yourself while listening for the second time. Вам аудіювання, я бачу питання в чаті, вам аудіювання і роблять через те, що вам дають його першим, на свіжу голову, як то кажуть. Да? Тобто це перша частина вашого ЗНО. Тобто потрібно просто сфокусуватися з першого разу. Тобто, запам'ятайте, у вас перший раз прослуховування дається для того, щоб ви зробили завдання. Не потрібно відкладати все на другий раз. На другий раз потрібно перевірити. Тобто потрібно сфокусуватися з самого першого разу. Як налаштувати себе, ну, не знаю. Мені здається, те, що воно йде першим, це вже добре, бо у вас, ж кажу, чиста голова, ви не робили ще рідінгу, не писали ще лист, не думали про граматику. Тобто, насправді, це найпростіше робити найпершим. Включились від першого разу, від першого рекордингу, у вас завдання всі йдуть по складності, від найпростішого до найскладнішого. Тобто, коли ви дойдете до цього multiple choice, which is very complex, да, до цього великого тексту, де у вас відповіді, да, варіанти відповіді, ви вже налаштуєтесь від першого, бо перше, ви бачили там картинки, ви слухаєте коротесенькі записи двічі, тобто вам це вже дасть шанс налаштуватися, да? Я думаю, що ось ця градація від найскладнішого, від простішого до складного, воно вже вам дає змогу налаштуватись. І слухаємо від першого разу, не відкладаємо на другий. Другий раз нам потрібен для того, щоб перевірити себе. Потім вам шансу не буде. Якщо в інших завданнях ви можете повернутися, то listening вам більше ніхто не включить, да? Тільки двічі ви його прослухайте. And of course, if you don't know the answer, if you don't know the answers, it's better to choose any answer that seems the best for you. Yes, never leave a blank. So today we will listen to one of these tasks. Yes, you will have 5 questions. Давайте потренуємось. You have 5 questions. Yes, you need to read and find the keywords in this question. So let's look at question 12. How does Jerry feel? So we need to listen about his feelings, and we have displeased, uncertain, or happy. Звичайно, в аудіозаписі у вас не буде цих прикметників, правильно? Вам ніхто їх не дасть. Displeased, uncertain, and happy. So your task is to think about some synonyms. Тобто своїми словами спробуйте описати. Хто такий displeased? Ага, displeased, that is something who is not satisfied, unsatisfied with something. Maybe sad, maybe annoyed, something like displeased. Okay, uncertain. Maybe not sure, unsure, maybe not happy, yes, because of something. And C, we have happy. That is actually the only like very positive meaning, yes, here. Happy, excited, maybe amused, and whatever, yes. Not pleased, yeah. Тобто бачимо, що перші два у нас adjectives, да, вони більш таким з негативним. Тобто хтось невпевнений, незадоволений, можливо, роздратований. А третій в нас happy. Тобто якщо там буде happy, ви чітко це почуєте. Так спробуйте зробити до кончого питання. So, for example, number 13. Why is it difficult for Jerry to sing in karaoke? He dislikes strange people, he doesn't know what to sing, and he doesn't feel confident. So we have people, we have sing, and we have confident. Да? Тобто ось ці ключові слова для себе виділили. Number 14. Where is the karaoke? Separate room, bar, restaurant. Тобто bar і restaurant – це що в нас такі? Більш public places, тобто many people, можливо, там буде, да? Спробуйте собі пояснити слова цим багато. А separate room, воно інше, ніж ці два значення. Да? Separate room, not many people, maybe it's not public, it's more private place. Okay, number 15. Which song is Jerry supposed to sing first? Hotel California, Just Do It, Good Luck Jerry. So here you will need to listen for details. Тут же вам буде чітко потрібно прослухати деталі, тобто яку пісню вони згадують. Да? Тобто, як тільки ви почуєте слово song, уважно слухаємо, яку саме вони згадують. Okay, number 16. That's what might Jerry's words at the end of the karaoke party mean? І ось це я бачила, багато пишуть питань абітурієнтів. Звідки ж ми знаємо, що він думає? Да? Might, можливо. Да? Ми знаємо, що might нас виражає можливість. І в нас є варіанти відповіді. He wanted to sing another Advent song. He decided to stay out overnight. He had fun singing karaoke. Тобто ви звертаєте увагу на відповіді, да? Бо питання, що він міг подумати в кінці цієї вечірки. Звертайте на варіанти відповіді. Можливо, він скаже про те, що він хоче ще співати. Sing more. Stay overnight, it means to stay at the same place, yes? Had fun, maybe he was very happy, maybe he was very excited. Окей, ми з вами проаналізували. Let's listen. Давайте слухати.
Track 3. Task 3. You will hear two friends deciding where to go in the evening. For questions 12 to 16, choose the correct answer A, B, or C. Now, you have 45 seconds to look at the questions for task 3.
Okay, so you have time. Yes, as usual. Look through the questions again. Налаштуйтесь. Let's stay focused. And we will listen to it.
Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully. You will hear the recording twice. Hey, Jerry. My friends just invited me to go to karaoke with them tonight. Would you like to come along?
Do you mean karaoke? We pronounce it karaoke in English with the emphasis on the O.
Oh, I see. Do you want to go to karaoke with us then? It'll be fun.
Bob, I feel nervous when someone hands me a microphone. I freeze. I know I'm not a very good singer.
That's strange. I thought Americans were very outgoing.
Not me. I'm very shy, especially in front of a group of strangers.
Hey, my friends aren't strange.
Strangers just means people I don't know. It doesn't mean they are strange. Was it easy for you to sing the first time you went to karaoke?
For me, it was very easy. I love to sing. But now that you mention it, some of my friends were very shy the first time they went. Will you come?
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Here we are at the karaoke club.
Oh, it's a private room. I thought we'd be singing in a crowded bar or restaurant.
No, we have this all to ourselves.
That will make it easier, maybe. Now, how does this work?
It's simple. Just choose a song and sing. Do you know Hotel California?
Sure, everybody knows it.
Great, here it comes now. Good luck, Jerry.
What do you mean? I'm not ready to sing yet.
You'll just have to do your best. You know what they say, just do it. Now, we've been here for 2 hours, Jerry. How many songs have you sung?
Oh, at least 10.
I think it's been more like 20. Time to go home.
Time to go home? But we're just getting started. Let's stay half an hour more.
Sorry, we have to go to work in the morning and you have to study. We'll come back some other night.
Great. How about tomorrow?
Okay, so unfortunately, yes. If you want, you can then watch this video again, like in the webinar, and listen it for the second time. Okay, let's try to give the answers, yes? It was quite tricky, but let's go to the number 1. 12, I see B, A, B, B. So most...
Track 3.
One moment.
Task 3.
Most
Track
of you
3.
Like chose B. So he said, I feel nervous, I freeze, I'm very shy. So he's not sure, yes? So, and the synonym for not sure, that is uncertain, that is B. Okay, number 13, I know I'm not a very good singer. So what the answer might be? Let me check your answers. C, A. So what about strange people? There was a conversation, a short conversation about strange people in order to mislead you. Так, щоб вас заплутати. Тобто цей Джері пояснив, що strange people – це strangers – це не ті, які дивні люди, да? А це ті, які не знайомі для вас. Тобто там не було нічого, що він не любить strange people. Він просто ми пояснив, хто такі strangers. So the 13, number 13, that's right. That is C. He doesn't feel confident about his singing ability. So I know I'm not a very good singer. Це просто перефраза, та сама ідея, але іншими словами. Okay, number 14 was very obvious. Да? 14 було, мені здається, найпростіше. That was, oh, it's a private room. We know that private means like a separate room. So that is A. Number 15 was also not very tricky. Yes, there was only one song that they mentioned. Насправді була тільки одна пісня, яку вони зазначили, да? І це було спростило нам задачу. That was Hotel California. And number 16, the most difficult one, yes? So how many have you sung? Да, спитав його друг. More like 20. Time to go home, but we are just getting started. So what did he decide in the end? Let me check your answers. B. От він сказав, давай ще залишимось. Що йому друг сказав? Oh no, next time. So he wanted to stay, yes, but he didn't decide. Тобто, але такого рішення не було прийнято. So he just wanted to stay overnight, but he decided to go home because his friend said, oh no, next time. So that's why variant C, he had had fun singing karaoke. Да? Тобто йому до того було весело. Okay, so guys, that is all for today. Thank you for your great job. Have a good evening and see you next time, next Thursday. Sorry for my connection problems. Have a good evening.